Alright, so you can very much keep it a stack with you. Obviously, this is a very weird recording setup for me, but it is what it is. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the previous video where we talked about all of this, because obviously I sound different. But when it comes down to it though, if you would like to support me to get this audio back on track, I'm throwing gifts to the phone. If you would like to go get it for me, that'll be appreciated. But when it comes down to it though, I couldn't just sit here and not record anything, despite also the rain that potentially is outside right now. And when it comes down to it though, there's plenty of things to kind of talk about, whether it's, you know, the fact that we have Still Blade's demo coming out this Friday, which I'm very much excited to play, and you also have the rumor and leak maybe that Sonic Heroes is actually getting a remake, which I will honestly be extremely excited, because one, Sonic Heroes is an OG game, and two, it's probably the reason why I'm super high end and super hyper when it comes to Sonic, and why my Sonic crack addiction probably started. Like, if it's actually like a real thing, I'm coming on your face. You're not stopping me. Alice is getting double loads. But when it comes down to it though, there's plenty of news and information that we can obviously go over. However, I'm gonna just straight up focus mainly on the Microsoft news that came out yesterday, because that is possibly the more anger-inducing one, and possibly the one that finally kind of, well, we've kind of been already knew, but really tells us exactly why the hell we can't necessarily have fine women in games. And this is basically the damn reason why something like Still Blade is a rare treat among games at the moment. Why I think there's like another game like Vindictus, I think, that has like a fine ass MMO character with the craziest and sweatiest of jiggle physics, which is very nice. A lot of these games from Korea are rare to come by now, versus, you know, what we used to get back then, which, you know, used to be normal. And you want to know the big swinging dick of a reason as to why we can't have this no more? Cause inclusion! Yeah, that's the reason why. We want people to be inclusive and all that sort of nonsense that no one really gives a shit about. Let's be honest. The whole reason why is because Microsoft basically wants to warn the devs to be like, excuse me, that girl has a little bit too much ass, 3 centimeters thick. Can you lower that down to 1 centimeter? Thank you very much. That's basically what this shit is, and it's not necessarily the greatest thing. Is it obvious that this is what's going to happen, or why it's the reason? Pretty much, yeah. But was it something that we really needed as a whole? Really, no. Like, and this is the thing with games, again, that it's just really hella annoying when it comes down to it. It's just the fact that, again, these games are being played by adults aimed at adults. Why do we have to sit here and be babysit with, like, you know, these gamers, and when it comes down to things with these devs to give us the product that we really want to see? I don't necessarily know, and it's always been a weird ass thing. Because if I know for a fact of anything from games back then, game devs didn't, you know, really care. They did not necessarily hold back on anything. Remember Rumble Roses? Remember that damn game that also was on an Xbox console and honestly was hella fun and jiggly as I don't know what, and, you know, gave you the sense of wrestling in a damn video game but for fine female characters? That game was honestly epic as hell. Why can't we have that shit back? Because of this bullshit. I'm looking at a post from PC Focus, which I probably already showed you on screen, but I'm just going to read off some of the things at the bottom that they basically talked about, you know, what they're looking at when it comes to the developers and what they need to avoid. One note says, are you unnecessarily introducing gender and gender barriers into your code or design? Are you creating playable female characters that are equal in skill and ability to their male peers? Are your female characters equipped with clothing and armor that fits their task? Do they exaggerate body proportions? When the story allows, do you show male characters who display a full range of emotions, including joy and vulnerability? Why are you asking all of these questions? Like, I'm gonna be very honest with you, this is it. This is the pinnacle of our gaming industry right now. Mainly because people now are just extremely soft, and they want to push this narrative that being woke and being, you know, this way is the best way for everybody. When newsflash, you don't put this shit on everybody. This is exactly the reason why a lot of times when you see things like this, people get upset immediately, because it's not just for the fact that you're ruining the sexy females. It's part of that, but it's not the whole fact. The part of it is just that you can't let women just be women characters anymore. That's literally what they are, and that's literally what it is when it comes down to this whole situation, right? And this doesn't just go for this just goes for anything. Like, I saw a picture of someone made like Gwen from Benson Black, and then I think someone asked the question, why can't we have this? It's not the fact that you can't have that, it's more so the reason of why you can't have that. Because let's be honest, the reason why you made her black is because of representation, and if that's your reason, trash reasoning. Let's just keep that a stack. The reason why you should honestly, have a character like this is because you just wanted to throw it in because you wanted to push something or some type of agenda as to why. And again, if you care about representation, good for you. But guess what? Make your own character, tell your own OC stories and all that sort of stuff, and leave other characters out of it, right? Especially if it's going to be hella agenda driven and all that sort of stuff. And that's another big problem that kind of happens in a lot of this industry now. Where back then this was never really a problem, but now it's a huge ass problem, because now you get all these new creators and new storyboard artists and all this sort of stuff to come through and basically take old ass characters that we all knew and was not having a problem of at all, only for them to come through and just be like, yeah, well, we'll make them black, and now they used to be fine, but now we're gonna cover it up a lot and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, okay, you couldn't do this to like an original character. And for anybody that might be like, well, that would be kind of harder for them to, get these type of things over on their side of, creation and stuff like that. So using an IP and using something popular like a Velma, because Velma getting a season 2 for some dumbass reason, but when it comes down to it, they like, we're gonna make shows like that with popular IP characters so it gets over into people's minds. And it's like, well, bitch, let me be honest with you. If you want people to get over on this sort of stuff, create your own original shit. If you want people to care in that sort of way, then create your own original shit, and then the people that like that shit goes towards that shit, right? That's your whole thing of what you should do, instead of riding on the coattails of other shit because you can't be creative enough to create your own story, your own characters and things like that, which means you're basically creatively bankrupt when it comes down to it. This is also the reason why I'm hella scared of anime kind of introducing the concepts of DC and all these other shows over to the Japanese side of the sphere and bringing it to the Japanese ecosystem, because, obviously with the West being the way it is for the entertainment industry and Japan being the way Japan is, the last thing I want is to see all this stuff be affected in the Japanese side of things, because obviously they're going to be like, yeah, let's make more anime for the Japanese side of things, and bring our Western IPs and projects over here to bring it over to make that the way it is and stuff like that. And the worst thing that could obviously happen is that it affects the Japanese ecosystem, make it more expound upon with different DCs and different Marvel maybe ideas coming to become anime and stuff. And the last thing we would really want, or anybody should really want, is to have that ecosystem in there, because most definitely, you think they control the shit now, just give them time with all this other stuff, they gonna try to control shit even worse. And hell, you thinking that, with all these Japanese people trying to stop the piracy sites and that might be hurting the industry and whatever, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're thinking that they ain't gonna do nothing right now, which they might not, if they get the American side of things in there, best believe they're gonna try their best to stop them damn sites, and I can actually see them doing that shit. Overall, on all sides, it just feels like there is no winnable option when it comes down to things. And when it comes down to actual sites that still does good, like maybe a High Dive or whatever other sites and publishers that actually still allow games to be just doing whatever they want to, like Steam kinda, when it comes down to it, it's still very minimal, and it's still very risky, and kind of putting their company at risk at times when it comes down to it, because not everybody else is doing it, but only smaller people are, or certain people are. And it's like, okay, but how long is it going to take for them to change? Because that's probably what's going to happen to Steam. Most likely that's what's going to happen to other things in the future, right? Hopefully it don't happen anytime soon, but you have that dread feeling that sometimes it might just happen, and you never really know when it comes down to it. Which is why, I'm gonna be honest with you, this is where a lot of people now, at least a lot of people are being smart now to understand what's happening and, you know, all the nonsense that's going through with stuff. But I need more people to be straight up creating their own original products and own original platforms and things of the sort. Because if it's not up to the gaming industry or the anime industry to give us the correct and better stuff that we actually ask for and want, then it's going to be up to us indie people to create our own OCs, to get our own original platforms going, and not necessarily bend the need to a lot of these damn corporations and stuff. Hell, even when it comes down to like an artist side of things, it's getting harder to get your NSFW content out there, mainly because PayPal and a lot of these other credit card people are just basically trying to rob you of everything that you got, essentially. Patreon got hit with this nonsense, and now other sites are trying to adjust to different ways so they can avoid this type of stuff, and it's just not necessarily the greatest thing in the world. It would not surprise me if the anime / gaming industry ends up becoming like a self-reliant type of industry, where we basically just be about ourselves as a real deal community for once, and basically not worry about the corporate side of things or how things are getting treated up there, but try to make the small, you know, community for everybody that actually genuinely like the shit that we had and have when it comes down to it, and pretty much kick the shit out of anybody that's trying to like stop or trying to invade that space and trying to ruin it with a lot of other nonsense that we currently get now. When it all comes down to it, when it's all said and done, at the end of the day, this is just another again showing of why the industry currently sucks and why we need to get back to normalcy as soon as possible. And while I'm thankful for Korean, you know, game developers to actually be like, you know what, here's Eve from Stella Blade. Here's this other character from Vindictus or whatever. Go ahead and have fun with these characters, because again, you don't get this shit with a lot of other games anymore in a lot of other places, because obviously they want to be inclusive and all this sort of stuff. When you have to realize the basic common sense of really anything fiction, not every piece of fiction is meant for you 100%. Like, you're gonna see fine female characters constantly. You're gonna see characters that probably will do things that you would never ever want to do. But at the end of the day, that's fine, because guess what? There's people that do enjoy those characters, and you know, it is what it is. That's why it's often stupid when you see people try to go out their way to harass other people for liking a certain thing or not liking a certain thing. And it's just a ridiculous circle all the way around, and that's what basically this shit is. It's a circle, because it's just going to be continuing until somebody breaks out of that shit or something big comes out of that shit. So it is what it is at this current moment in time. But still, nonetheless, this whole thing is just really stupid, and on Microsoft part, even more so dumb, because your games and consoles haven't really been doing too great, and so you're trying to like be like, yes, we had this moral high ground. Maybe this moral high ground is the reason why you're dying, honestly. So maybe you might want to throw in some mad anime titties every here and again, just kind of just, you know, bring your shit back up, honestly. Because whatever you doing, whatever plan you got, it ain't gonna cook, and it's definitely not gonna work, honestly. It just is what it is at this point. But that's basically all I want to say for this one, so hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification when you're out. Also follow me on the socials, and if you'd like to on this channel, Kofi and Cash App is available as well. And until then, it's boy Jay, signing off. Have a blessed day.